Recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios Brisbane on 102.1 FM and broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Z Games. With 10 years experience and over 500 episodes, Z Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out? Message us on Facebook at ZEVGamesAU. My name is Evie. I'm here with
Rani,
Caitlin,
and Will.
Sup?
Z Games crew.
We're here.
We're here, yes.
We are. We're here.
The enthusiasm.
Oh, look,
we're here.
The week is long. It's Wednesday. I'm tired. It's so hot in Brisbane at the moment. It is like humid as all hell out there, and we've had some storms, but not nearly enough.
I'm actually, for the first time, sitting in this studio not rugged up. Normally, I'm under, like, 3 jumpers.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're usually a cocoon.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
And right now, I just have on a t-shirt and jeans.
I'm enjoying the post-storm coolness, though. I don't know.
Yeah, but not the humidity.
Come on, I'm trying to be positive.
It's way too grey, alright? Either it's full sun, full rain, or nothing. Like, choose.
Typical Swede. Just like, I live in darkness. Any sunlight is great for me.
Hey, I love the sun, alright? I'd rather be sweaty than not be able to leave my house, you know?
That's true. He has a good point.
I guess so.
Well, debatable. That's another topic.
Depending on
But
what
you
kind of
can leave
mood
your house
you're in.
when it's raining. It's just not always as pleasant. You're probably going to get just as wet either way. You're going to get soaked from sweat, or you're going to be drenched from the rain. So
Well,
it's fine.
hey, plus thing with all the storms, I can have an excuse to sit in and play video games all day.
Yes.
So
Yes.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
you're right. Rain for the
that's
win.
true. Yeah, that is true.
It's like Shroud. I was watching one of his streams once, and he's like, "Yeah, so I'm going and getting a haircut, so I'm going to have to like cancel the stream soon. Like, I'm going to have to finish the stream early." And someone was just like, "Oh, where do you go to get your haircut?" And Shroud's like, "I have enough money now that everyone comes to me. My hairdresser comes and does my hair at home. I don't like leaving the house ever." And I'm like, "Wow,
I want
all
that
the money in
kind
the
of
world."
money. Yeah,
you
like
get all the money in the world, and you're just like, "Yeah, the hairdresser comes to me. I don't want to leave the house." Whereas for me, I'm like, I would go to every country I could. I'd travel, like I'd be out of the house as much as possible. And he's like, "Nope, now I can stay in the house because I have the funds to do that."
You would travel everywhere, but still get your hairdresser coming to you.
Yeah, I guess so.
Actually, I would probably do that. It'd be like, and anything I could have done at home, I would have done at home. But then I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to go to Paris or wherever. I don't really want to go to Paris.
Someone
I
will
don't know why
pick
I
me
said
up
that.
from the front door and then drive me straight to the plane, and then
I won't ever have to actually see the outside.
You don't even like touch the ground. It's like with like big superstars who have like tours or something at like festivals, and it's like they pull up right at the stage.
Yep.
They step onto the stage and then back into the car and leave. It's like they don't even touch the ground.
Yep.
Yeah. What a life. I had to walk up a hill to get here, damn it. Anyway, so today we've got a couple of interesting things. I'm going to be reviewing Jotun, the Valhalla Edition, and we're also got an interesting discussion later from a Scientific American article about what was it? Why you should basically do exercise, but it's related to games. We'll get there. Why your brain needs exercise is the title of the article. But yeah, we'll keep you guessing until we get there.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. But anyway, let's listen to some news in the meantime.
Listen.
This week in gaming news, Netflix Australia has picked up 21 Studio Ghibli films, from Princess Mononoke to My Neighbor Totoro, starting in February through till April. Each film will be rolled out for Netflix subscribers in Europe, America, Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. Until recently, Studio Ghibli refused to have digital copies of its content, however, last month began selling downloadable copies. Warner Media announced that it had been granted US streaming rights for the launch of HBO Max later in the year. For now, Studio Ghibli films are exclusive to Netflix, and Netflix is going to provide subtitles in 28 different languages, as well as dub versions for 20. The first wave of releases drops on the 1st of February and includes Castle in the Sky, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Only Yesterday, Porco Rosso, Ocean Waves, and Tales from Earthsea. Almost every AAA game set to release this year has been delayed. Doom Eternal has been delayed to the same date as Animal Crossing New Horizons on March 20th, and Resident Evil 3 Remake will be released in April. Final Fantasy VII Remake has been pushed from March to April. Square Enix have also delayed Marvel's Avengers from May to September. The most heartbreaking of all, Cyberpunk 2077, originally planned for April, has now been pushed to September, as well as Iron Man VR was set to release in February and has now moved into May. With many studios feeling the pressure to deliver, there is speculation around the level of crunch these developers are going through to meet such strenuous back-to-back deadlines. Hopefully, we don't experience too many more delays and that developers are taking care of themselves, as well as getting to play the most polished versions of these games later in the year. The 2020 Global Game Jam starts on the 31st of January and will run until the 2nd of February. The Global Game Jam is the world's largest game jam event which takes place around the world at different physical locations. This is an opportunity for game developers and alike to be creative, share experiences, and express themselves in a multitude of ways using the interactive medium of video games. The event runs for 48 hours and encourages all kinds of people with different backgrounds to get involved. In 2019, there were over 860 locations in 113 countries, creating over 9,000 games. Australia has many different locations where you can participate, such as Brisbane, Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne, Hobart, Launceston, Northbridge WA, and Canberra. If you'd like to check out a location that suits you best, check out the Z Games Facebook page for the link at ZEDGamesAU. That's all this week in gaming news.
So much happening.
Yeah. Princess Mononoke.
Princess
I may have said that wrong, yeah.
It's okay. It's alright.
We forgive you, Evie.
And is it Studio Ghibli or Ghibli?
It's Ghibli.
Wow.
Because it's Japanese, so it's Ghibli.
Oh.
Yeah.
Say that again, Kayla.
Ghibli.
She does it so well.
Yeah.
I cannot do it that well.
Kawaii.
Kawaii-san.
Wait, kawaii or kawaii?
They're different. They're different.
One means cute, the other
Definitely
means
scary.
scary.
Yeah.
Kawaii.
Isn't it nice how close they are, but how different they are?
Yeah, there's a lot of languages like that. I remember I called someone gay in Brazil when I was trying to say short.
Oh.
And ugly and fly. Apparently, you wouldn't think that that would be an opportunity to cross them over. But no, I've had an experience where I actually pointed at a baby and said ugly when I was trying to point out a fly. Mum wasn't too happy about
Fly
that.
as in like the animal
Like,
fly?
like a little bug. Like a
Oh,
fly.
not the baby. The baby being like real fly.
Yeah.
Like
Pretty
putting
fly
some
for a Brazilian baby.
Well, I mean,
pop some shades on him.
Ugly fly.
A little bit of tan, some Speedos, it could be a pretty fly baby, so to say.
Oh, no.
oh dear.
Back to the news.
Yeah.
So yeah, Studio Ghibli, that's exciting because for a long time I was paying a lot of money collecting the DVDs, and now they're useless. Fantastic.
No,
I actually would still pay lots of money to get the DVDs.
Yeah,
I want them.
My
I just want
favourites.
them.
I think I have about 8
My favourites.
So I was getting close to having
Because
most of my favorite ones.
they'll go off of Netflix eventually. Like,
Yeah,
they're not
it
going to
won't
stay
be-
on
Yeah.
there permanently.
I mean, I haven't watched any. And I watched Ponyo.
Yeah, you can.
So now I can finally, know things.
There are so many, and I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, I was going to ask
Perfect.
in this studio, Will, I know what your answer is already because you've only watched one. What is everyone's favourite Studio Ghibli movie?
Oh, that's really hard. I actually really enjoyed Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
I think it was my first Studio Ghibli movie. Because in orchestra, hello, I'm a nerd. We played the Princess Mononoke theme. And I think all I'd seen of Studio Ghibli at that point maybe was Ponyo, just because it was geared at my age when
Yeah.
I came out.
Yeah.
When it came out. So Princess Mononoke was my first actual voluntary delve into Studio Ghibli. And then Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle and all of that. Oh, My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think my personal favorite is a toss-up between Princess Mononoke and Laputa.
Oh, Laputa.
Yeah, I really
pretty.
like that one.
Yeah.
I just think about that feeling I had when they finally discovered this floating city, and then it's just really cool. And the robot, like the ancient
really
robots.
cool.
I don't know. There's also a lot of like hidden meanings behind like the overall morals, and I like the ones that are quite challenging like that. And more challenge society. Like some of the other stories, like Howl's Moving Castle, challenges like the concepts of age, and like ageism, and there's a lot of. It's very deep. They're very deep films.
Yeah, I think I lied, actually. My all-time favourite, and I don't know why I didn't think of it immediately, was Kiki's Fly and Delivery Service.
Of course.
Spirited Away is mine. Like, just so far and beyond Spirited Away. I think it was the first one I ever watched, but I also...
It's amazing.
But it's the one that I will always go back to. It's so beautiful. I love the story. I love everything about it. It's just, beautiful.
Yeah.
Actually, like, I'm not going to keep talking, but... Last time I was in Japan in April last year, we went to the Studio Ghibli Museum in Kishijoji, and it was amazing.
It's something I regret not being able to do while I was working over there, because you had to book so far in advance.
Yeah, getting tickets is hard.
It's really hard. And then of course, like the cafe, like I was over there to review food and write food blogs, right? So all I wanted to do was be at the Studio Ghibli Museum cafe.
Stop it.
Because that's the thing, right? Like you watch the films and you're just like, I want that food.
Amazing. Yeah.
And apparently it lives up to it at the cafe, so
it's pretty good.
Take her back.
We will get you, Will, to watch some.
Yes. It's
Come
perfect.
to my house, we'll binge them.
Now I got a good list of movies to spend my time on, which is perfect. 'Cause
Yes.
It's not like there's enough on Netflix for me to watch anyway, so...
No, there's definitely not enough.
No, that's not
Just
enough.
don't be tripping or really tired watching them, because it can wig you out, just letting you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're pretty like, what is happening?
I'm on a constant trip every second. I'm
He's
waking
high on
live.
his natural Swede.
Yes. Being Swedish is just a natural high, alright? That's why do you think we see trolls everywhere and gnomes? Like they're everywhere.
Gnomes. Gnomes. The G is silent.
No. It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know.
Oh no. Anyway, so there's delays as well.
There is a lot of delay.
Yeah.
But not
Cyberpunk.
Animal Crossing.
But not on Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing still coming out on time. The Cyberpunk one is big. Like that is from April to September.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
huge.
big delay.
Yeah.
But it's a big game, and like
You want it to be done right.
Yeah.
I can get that, and I want that too.
I hope it's
Yeah.
a positive thing about, like, in regards to crunch. So I hope
I hope so
being
too.
delayed that much is getting
To
rid
alleviate
of
stress.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard both good and bad from that, like just rumors, but people talking about kind of what the possible situation is, and there's kind of two different routes that it could possibly be, but no one outside the studio will know.
Yeah.
Hopefully this helps them really not get as much crunch.
Yeah.
But there is also a chance that they're going into what we call a death march,
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
about
which is
it.
basically just working to a deadline,
Non-stop,
and
yeah.
fast as you hit the deadline, a new deadline pops up.
Yeah.
And they do. It's one of those things we just need to, as an industry, talking as a game developer, need to try to avoid as much as possible, because it's
For sure.
it's soul tearing.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
I
Yeah.
saw a GIF recently of a Boeing 747 going over the motorway, like it was being carted through like the motorway, like on the
Yeah.
road,
Yeah.
and it's like, game devs, slow down. You don't need to do everything at once. And then there's this plane just like going through. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, if you wanna support the game, the devs, like sending them happy tweets, showing your support, and understanding that
yes.
this is the creative practice. Like this is where we are at right now. Just,
Yeah.
We
it's
want the
not the
game to be
devs'
right.
fault that this is
Yeah.
happening. So send them some love, guys.
Yes.
They need it.
Definitely.
It's your consumer demand.
Well,
No.
I think
I want Cyberpunk now.
I want Keanu.
but this is the thing. Animal Crossing had a couple of different pushbacks.
It got pushed
Yeah.
back from, was it November last year
Yeah.
to March this year? That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
And
I want a good
reasonable.
game. Yeah, I want a
and
good
that's the
game.
thing. We all understand that. Like, it's disappointing when things get pushed back, but when you're that into games, hopefully you're of the mindset
Understanding,
that a really good game is going to take longer to make. And I think Nintendo does it fairly well, as far as I know,
Yeah.
about being conscious of crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and making sure that their employees are actually taken care of.
You can't make Mario that happy if there's any crunch. Like seriously.
Yeah.
No.
What was one of the other
Yoshi.
ones?
Like, come on.
Final Fantasy VII got pushed back. Called it.
Yeah.
Called it last year. I said that would happen, and people were like, but it's only a little, is it? As I said, it's Square Enix. It's going to get pushed back, and it did. So no one is surprised.
I mean, it's sad at the
Kate was
same.
just like, all you haters out there, yeah, take that. It's like,
I was
knew.
right.
I told you so.
Well, let's hope the people who are in charge of planning gets better at not allowing crunch to happen.
Yes.
Even Square Enix, it's not an excuse. Don't do crunch, guys. Please.
Don't crunch.
Don't crunch.
Just
Take care
have
of yourself.
crunches. Only those
Yes.
crunches.
Only have crunches.
Do the
Yeah.
Please
crazy
do
sick.
those. Don't just stay sitting at your desk for however many hours without
No.
moving.
Oh,
That's
no.
also bad for you.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
no.
not great.
Take
Oh,
a break.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Do
for
some
me.
desk workout.
Oh.
What? Oh. Okay, I'm going to play some music now.
I don't want to.
Well, I'm going to talk about Jotun.
Yes.
Am
Yes.
I saying that right, Will? Is it
Yes.
Jotun?
Jotun.
Jotun. So it's like a
Jotun.
fusion of yo and
It's kind of
Joe.
weird. It's like, I don't speak Old Norse.
Jotun.
Jotun. Yeah.
Okay.
Jotun.
Gonna get some swagger happening. It's actually not Swedish. It's actually Icelandic.
Yeah, but like Icelandic is the closest to Old Norse that we currently have.
Oh.
Sweden, Denmark, and Norway are kind of new languages, but Iceland they have like a rule, so they don't take words from English. They just like make up new ones, and that's why you have like names like Reykjavik.
Reykjavik.
Yes, and a bunch of
Reykjavik.
weird Reykjavik and a
Poor
bunch of
Vic.
other weird
That's
things.
the capital city, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry to all my Icelandic friends out there.
Reykjavik.
I know you exist.
Exist. Nah, they're not real.
Just like we're not real.
Yeah, just like we're all paid actors, you know.
I mean, it's all the gnomes. I mean,
Gnomes.
I saw this amazing stat. I think it was like 43% of Icelandic people still believe in gnomes. It was a couple of years
Is
ago.
it gnomes or elves?
Elves. Oh, it's probably elves, yes.
Yeah.
It's a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But it's a funny...
The other
Funny me.
47% still
Wait,
believe Australians are real.
what do you mean that elves aren't real?
Yeah, oh, yes, exactly. Elves are
Stop
real.
crushing people's dreams, Will.
What are you talking about?
It's the volcanic fumes.
Jotun.
Okay.
Yes, Jotun.
Tell us about this game.
Jotun is developed by Thunder Lotus Games and published by Thunder Lotus Games. The music is by Max LL, and it was released in September 29th, back in 2015. It's an action-adventure, and I was playing it on the Nintendo Switch, but you can actually get it on PC, PS4, Wii U, Xbox One as well. So it's
On
pretty
a
much
lot of
everywhere.
Things, yeah.
Sweet.
Essentially, the story follows Thora, a dead Viking woman who died by drowning on the freezing Nordic seas. Odin was disappointed in her inglorious death, and she is granted a second chance to redeem herself. She must travel through the realms of the gods and defeat a series of different Jotun, who are giant, powerful Norse elemental beings of nature and chaos. She must defeat these Jotun in order to impress Odin so she may enter Valhalla. Jotun starts in this incredible forest landscape where you are carefully guided to a mountainous peak where a glorious cinematic view of the world beneath you unfolds. Through Thora's journey, you must find runes that unleash the Jotun, and you fight them. When you defeat them, you basically unlock... You're just basically defeating giant, evil demon things.
I love it.
Well, Norse god monsters things. Anyway, so there's like 9 stunning levels to explore. As a player, you are guided by Icelandic voice-acted dialogue, and it's absolutely like... Like their natural tones of their voice, whoever these voice actors are just so low, such a low register.
Yeah.
And they're both male and female voices. And it's extremely compelling. So that these Icelandic voices sort of like impart detailed lore of Viking mythology as well. So it's quite historical. What else? I guess Thor is like basically this epic battles. There's incredible animations, like all hand-drawn animations.
Oh, wow.
And they are stunning. Absolutely stunning. You basically... So it's a single-player game, campaign, and Thora, the main character, or the protagonist that you play, she carries a huge axe as her primary weapon, which she can swing repetitively, or she can do like one massive swing. I did find that the movement was a bit like staggered and a kind of jarring, so it wasn't smooth, and it was pretty hard to sort of dodge enemies because everything, like the mechanic, like the movement mechanics weren't smooth, which kind of was very frustrating, especially when you're battling a giant boss.
Yeah.
And the camera actually pans out, and you're like this tiny little couple of pixels on the screen.
No.
And like the mechanics are hard to move around. It's a bit frustrating. Visually beautiful, music's fantastic. You've got like the roaring bass when the enemy like hits the ground, and like you've got like really thick, chunky, wet sounds when you hit things. Like the sound effects are fantastic as well. It's just I felt a bit let down and frustrated by the movement.
Were you playing it on a handheld version of the Switch, or did you put it up on the TV?
It was on the handheld version, and I docked as well, and I didn't really find it was all too much different. But it's kind of like super. The parts where I felt frustrated fighting the bosses because I couldn't move very well were quickly like not a problem because I just love the story so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I really love the animations, and everything was just so beautiful and scenic. Like, Jotun is a visually stunning game. It's got frozen wastelands to volcanic underground. Yes. There is unique design, adding flavor with each endeavor you take. So it's like it's absolutely beautiful. The music is epic, pairing nicely with the aesthetics of each realm and battle that you go into. I was honestly like absolutely captivated by this. I was like, this is beautiful. This is a stunning game, and 100% would I play another Thunder Lotus game. Definitely won't be my last because I was just absolutely blown away by these animations. Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
really good.
I think the movement mechanic can be a letdown of a lot of games, actually.
Yeah.
Like, it was a big letdown for me in The Witcher.
Yeah, I think you were talking about that. We were talking about it with Kosh a while back. It's a bit like that. It's sort of like everything is fantastic and there's just this one thing that's like, if this was smoother, I would feel like everything else was smoother.
Is it something that you have to do regularly in the game? Is it like a big part of the game?
Interestingly, like another part that sort of was kind of boring was like in between. So your main goal is to defeat these Jotun, right?
Yeah.
And like the most frustrating thing was in between fighting these bosses, you have to sort of interact with some enemies in between your journey and like walking around.
Like
but there's not enough.
Right.
So it's kind of boring.
You're just walking along.
Yeah, and there was a lot of repeating assets as well. Like I felt like they could have probably, I don't know, some stuff sort of irritated me. If I'm being really nitpicky now.
Yeah.
But you do fight a lot of enemies, and in some instances, like you've really got to dodge roll. Like dodging is like quite a useful skill to get a hang of pretty quickly. Yeah. And the fact that there's like, it's sort of like this pause and this jarring movement with, like if I swing the axe and then I go to dodge, it's like almost like there's a split second pause between that swing of the axe and the dodge.
Yeah.
There's no like cancel or anything. It sort of fully goes through that motion.
Yeah.
And it's quite, it's just a bit frustrating, really.
Because it sounds like most of the game is about fighting the bosses.
That's the main focus.
Yeah. I haven't played the game yet. I'm looking forward to be playing it because I've gotten it from Epic Game Store as well. But it sounds kind of like they went with a Dark Souls kind of feeling where they make everything a little bit more clunkier.
It is a bit Dark Souls vibe. There is a feeling of that with the clunkiness.
Yeah, like it, because that could be a thing that they made it clunky to make it more difficult. But one thing Dark Souls makes really nice is even though it feels clunky, everything you do is really smooth.
Yeah.
So that might be something like they didn't quite get
That's
that maybe.
the thing is like some stuff was really smooth. Like another issue I had was there's like this big after you sort of your first boss and you go through to like this main section where you then sort of can choose which like sort of realm to go into. There's no particular order. It's all up to you. But the problem is some areas are harder than others, and there's no indication to sort of let you know, like, hey, this is probably above your skill level at this point. Yep. So then I ended up being like, this is so painful. Like, the difficulty curve was just too much for me. And then I went to a different area and went, I could have gone here first if only I had a little bit of hand-holding. Yeah. But some people like that. Some people like to be able to explore and wander as a player, and that's fair enough. I just like to be handheld. So it's
I
like,
do too. I feel that.
I feel that. One of the things that'll quickly sort of deter me from really big open world kind of games is just not knowing where I'm meant to be going. Like, that was one thing that I adored about getting into a game like The Witcher 3 was just that on the map I had a path that was dotted out and I could turn it off if I wanted to turn it off. But it was sort
The
of
options.
giving me an idea of where I needed to go, and I didn't have to follow that. It wasn't forcing me to follow that, but it was there if I needed it. And like all the quests would be like, oh, you probably want to be this level to do this.
Yeah, so it gives you a suggestion. See, where there's not a lot of
Hand-holding, like progression.
there's not a lot of UI that indicates to you directly as the player things. A lot of it is diegetic. A lot of it is in the world that feeds that information to you, which is beautiful, and it means that there's less clutter on your screen. But I was, like I said, frustrated and lost. And like, why isn't someone telling me?
I mean, it's no fun running into
I
enemies
just want
and
an
getting
old
killed.
man
You know,
to tell me where to go.
Why am I being KO'd?
Well,
Take this.
Thora, the main protagonist, she actually talks to you as you enter new areas, and she tells you like some lore about where you are. So what happens is she speaks. They all speak in Icelandic.
Yeah.
And it comes up with subtitles in English for you.
So cool.
So it's really like engrossing. You feel like you're fully in this like mythological world. Something else that was really amazing was at the very beginning when you start playing, you sort of wake up in the afterlife or whatever, and you walk up this hill, this mountainous hill, and just as you come out, the camera pans out from where you are and opens up this breathtaking view of the mountains, and there's like these runes and stuff. And just as that's happening, the music is perfectly synced.
Oh,
That's
So like the
nice.
music is perfectly synced with anything that happens that you interact with, and it's just like,
I'm
this
a
is
hoe for those.
That's great.
Like if a game starts like that, you're like walking, and then all of a sudden you can't
It's just
control your camera,
epic.
and it's panning out to
Yeah.
a landscape. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna love this game.
Horizon
no,
Zero Dawn.
I'm done.
I was hooked at that point. I was just
That's
like, this
nice.
is fantastic.
That's all the game has to do
So-
to win me over.
I'm curious, being a Nordic boy, did you learn any Nordic mythology, especially that stuck out to you?
Nothing that I didn't already know. I learned a bit more about. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I didn't know that if you died, like, without it being bloody and in honor and, like, some kind of, if you died young and in battle, that it was considered bad.
like unworthy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a very
unworthy to
Viking
go
thing.
into
It is a
Valhalla.
Viking thing.
So,
It's a
like,
big Viking
which is
thing.
why the women also fought
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
because it wasn't just like, it wasn't gendered, which is nice, but essentially, if you don't die in battle, or if you die like old and like fat and lazy, then you're gonna be trapped forever, essentially.
Yes.
Like, it's like an eternal punishment, whereas if you die bloodily and horribly and gruesomely, then Odin will be smiling upon you and you can enter Valhalla. And I'm just like, which is what happened to Thor, is she fell off a boat and drowned.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and Odin's like, that's pretty terrible. Look, I'll give you a second chance. I'm like, this is what? So I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, the literal heavens for Vikings is you go into a big hall, eat food, and fight, and after you fight, you go back, eat food.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, like you fight and eat food, and you just wait until the end of the world where you will fight, and everything will just be
Yeah.
gone.
Wow.
Odin
Yes.
is the god of war, so he's super into that. I don't know. This is like kind of relevant, but if you ever watched American Gods, the
Okay.
opening,
I think yeah.
the opening theme to American Gods is about when the Vikings came over to America, the North America,
Mhm.
Yeah.
ages and ages before anybody else went there.
The first one.
And they got stranded there, and to try and invoke Odin, they would like have these big fights on the beach and just beat the ever-living crap out of each other
Oh, wow.
to try and bring Odin over the sea to like give them wind and good fortune and stuff. So
Wow, people
Yeah.
are whack.
yep,
Yes.
Odin.
Swedish, Nordic people, we whack.
So yes,
Yes,
we
cool.
had some fun
Yes,
with Jotun, and
we
now
did.
we're
Now
gonna
it's
have some fun.
talking about science.
Yeah,
The best part.
Exercise.
Coolest
Science,
thing.
exercise, science. What is that going to do with gaming show? You're all out there
Sports
wondering, what is that going to do with anything? What
Evie,
is
can you tell
exercise?
us, please?
I will
please?
explain to you why we're talking about science, and it's definitely not because we're qualified.
Yeah, big disclaimer.
Hey,
Please
I
don't listen to like.
I played a lot of Pokemon Go, alright? I am technically a PT, alright?
Yeah, you're
Okay,
fit now.
okay.
Yes.
So basically, there's this Scientific American article called Why Your Brain Needs Exercise. And the article discusses a bit about human evolution, our ancestors, and how they used to actively forage and hunt, which engage parts of the brain such as the hippocampus or the PFC, also known as the prefrontal cortex. It is well known that exercise has positive effects on the brain, especially as we age, but it is less clear about why physical activity affects the brain in the first place. So, the key events throughout evolution that may have created these links between exercise and brain function is something that they're looking at. And one of the big things that this particular study looks at is how deliberate exercise combined with sort of the environment or brain stimulation that our ancestors did will actually mean that our brain gets better as we get older and physically we stay stronger. So basically, exercising with your brain being involved in it is better than when you're just on a treadmill watching TV because your body has to be... Your brain has to be involved with what your body's doing, essentially.
So,
engaging.
are you telling
Yes.
me that I shouldn't have gotten rid of my Wii Fit?
Yes.
Essentially that, and also people who play sport,
Yeah.
because your brain is involved with the physical decisions you're making. So, what they did was they actually conducted a test, and this is where the games come in. A test was conducted on people with mild cognitive impairment. So people at increased risk of Alzheimer's have been put through simulated exercise tests. This study was conducted by K. Anderson Henley of Union College in Cincinnati, New York, where people exercising will engage with mentally demanding video games to see the differences in brain functionality and their overall health improvements. So the people who played the game and exercised were substantially better off cognitively and physically because their brain was involved with what their body was doing, so to speak, or their brain was also engaging with something while their body was engaging with something.
I suppose it's not a new phenomena. I think it's something that we've sort of been dancing around for a little while, that especially video games can have that sort of functionality or play that kind of role in our cognitive journey and our cognitive growth.
It
as
makes
well.
a lot of to sense.
Yeah.
To be
It's
you can't just be on a treadmill like a hamster in a hamster wheel. It's not going to do anything for your head.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But what they're finding now, I mean, this study is new and it only makes suggestions that this is
there's
something.
no conclusions.
But there's no conclusive evidence, hard evidence yet to suggest that. This is one of the first studies of its kind that they sort of ran. But the results were so outstanding that it was worth being published in a Scientific American article. So
It's big.
It's obviously in its early stages, but it's still to me, my brain was like, what does that mean for video game industry and exercise industry? How does that, if this thing is conclusive and becomes fact and it's we need to actually have our brains engaged while we exercise.
Well, it's
Does
going to
that
be
mean that video games and exercise are can you imagine going to the gym and everyone's just
running
Playing
around
headset, playing COD,
I think
that would be amazing.
I think one of the
Yes.
the interesting things is how it's going to affect sort of that competitive esports
Yes.
realm, because I mean, Evie, you and I don't know about Will and Caitlin, but we come from quite athletic backgrounds.
Yes.
And so, since not being able to exercise anymore, my brain function has kind of
Makes sense.
But seeing it in that esports sort of thing, and that level of adrenaline, how it's a good way to get it out. I'd watch my friends and my partners in between sets in and stuff, just go out, pace, walk, run, push-ups, pull-ups, any of those things. I do all of these things before I go out on stage or before I practice or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just that you incorporate those little exercises just to keep that going. And I think a lot of it, this is just me, my own sort of theory, a lot of it has to do with that level of adrenaline and what it...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And what your...
Anticipation, all sorts of stuff.
And what your body's symptoms are, and then how your brain sort of would connect that to what... that whole fight or flight thing.
Yeah.
Where
So
your heart starts
brain.
pumping. So
Yeah.
your brain's oh, maybe I'm in a situation where I need to be that much more alert because of all of these things. I think it'd be interesting to see how the research goes, because I wonder if there is a link there. If it becomes you feel these things, and so it's the moment you notice them, your brain might start to click in afterwards and be hey, actually, I can use this as a survival tactic.
Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I, what you were talking about that, I didn't think about that before, but that makes a lot of sense. Because, if you're going to do as many push-ups as you can, normally maybe it would be 10. But then if you want to increase that by like 50% at least, or 100%, you just ask someone to threaten you with a sledgehammer, and you will do more.
Like, give me some threat, some risk.
I know how to get Will to clean up when he comes over now. Fantastic.
But I mean, so like taking that into like esports, if you can get that kind of flight or flight reaction playing, your brain will unlock like focus in a new way.
So it's sort of more like, without terrorizing esports professionals.
Yes.
Well, I think it'll help them keep in the zone.
It's actually more to do.
the zone. It's terrifying. No, like keeping the exercise going, like in between they do something to keep that level up.
It's more that like your body is involved with what your brain is doing. Mm-hmm. So like when I play professional soccer or football, whatever people want to call it out there, I wasn't just running up and down the pitch for the sake of running up and down the pitch, running how many kilometers in 90 minutes. I was strategizing, I was thinking, I was timing, I was anticipating, I was doing math, I was doing physics with the ball and where things are going to go and how to respond and all this sort of stuff. My brain was very actively involved. I was spatially aware. Lots happening. I think the thing is that these video games are trying to facilitate a similar experience. So if it's let's just say a professional Call of Duty match or Counter-Strike, for example, and your esports players are also on an elliptical, or not an elliptical, maybe like a cycle,
a slow treadmill
or something, right?
The
body is in, the heart rate is up, so the what the brain is doing spatially in the virtual world is also reciprocated physically, and that actually creates a better outcome.
I think it also would help mitigate that whole fatigue of just sitting in a desk for however long you're going to have to be there. Because if you get the right...
It's suggesting
if
we'll
you
live
get
longer.
the right sort of pace there, you can probably go for a little bit longer. You're not going to get as mentally fatigued as you would normally just playing video games. Because I would always have to walk away from Overwatch and just be like...
I would walk away from Overwatch because I was like, damn it! I'll just
I did that too.
Damn Junkrat!
Yeah.
Why'd you go in?
Damn traps.
But no,
My life is a mercy main.
A mercy main.
I'm very curious to see also how this impacts now, because there's been like a lot of big debates, especially now since we had the big Fortnite tournament where there was like a kid or a teen that won like over like millions of dollars. And the whole discussion about gamers being nerds and games are only nerds play games. But now we're going into where professional athletes
play
like
games.
Football players, rugby players, anything like that should probably also be playing games while training to reach a new peak.
No, what have we done?
Sorry, I think that's cool because that's gonna...
It means there's a bigger market. But
yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
It's time for us to go, people.
Oh, it's so much fun today.
Yeah, it's been interesting talking about Norse things and exercise that none of us here... Oh, wait, Will does it. Sorry. Only one person in this room exercises willingly.
We all exercise our brains when we play video games.
Hey, I'm about to get back into it. I've been medically cleared.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yay.
I'm allowed
one
to do it
dumbbell.
again.
All right.
Lift the Xbox controller.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
We'll say a big happy goodbye from everyone here, and I hope you have a wonderful week and whatever, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Want to listen to more Zed games?
Check out our podcast on Spotify or follow us on
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which is at ZEDGamesAU to get behind the scenes action.
sneak peeks into reviews,
And of course, lots of memes.